Welcome back, wonderful humans. I'm Danielle and I currently live alone and I'm trying to shift towards healthier meals whilst remaining on a budget. Didn't go to plan this week at all in terms of how some food tasted, in terms of how it looked, and just in terms of how I felt in myself as well. But for Saturday's breakfast, it ended up being my brunch as I had some bacon, eggs, sausages, beans, tomatoes, mushrooms, and some bread, as well as some toast as well from the local cafe. And then for dinner, I just tried to give some of the cheeseburger sort of wraps a go. And honestly, they were a disaster following all of the recipes that I've seen. I used a super low fat beef mince from the butchers as well. So it wasn't that I was using one that was a high percentage. Yeah, it just didn't work out as well. So I do want to give it a go again, but I'll have to completely change the recipe up for sure. And I made some butternut squash soup a couple of days before Sunday. So I decided just to have a bowl of that for my lunch before then popping the rest of it into some containers to go into the freezer as well. But for dinner, I then went along and just did myself some of these vegetable spring rolls that I got in Lidl with a little bit ketchup on the side as well. They were all right, and I think they were about 100 calories each, just over. So obviously not the most healthy of dinners, but like I said, as I mentioned, I haven't been feeling that great in myself recently. So that was all that I could muster up the energy and enthusiasm for. Monday was a bit of a long one, as always, with it being an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift. But I just started it by having some toast and a little bit of some juice as well. Just tried to keep me going. I ended up having this, as always, during my morning break time because I didn't have the time or energy to actually get up early enough to be able to have my meds and then have breakfast as well. And for lunch, I completely forgot to tell you what I had in terms of doing some footage, but I had a fish finger wrap for it. And for dinner, I ended up having what looks like an absolute mess, but it was at least quite tasty. I did a potato, sprout, tomato, bit of pepper, sort of medley with some feta mixed through there as well with some sausages. I popped it all into the oven for a while to cook together and get it all nice and mixed through. And that feta obviously nicely melted as well. But then for Tuesday, I have at least been managing to have breakfast every day this week. But like I say, it was all as part of my morning breaks. I just grabbed a bit more toast again with quite a lot of margarine on it. Just wanted something pretty comfy. And actually, you'll see that I have quite a lot of carbs and bread items this week, and it definitely hasn't done me any favors on the scales either. Then for lunch, I had some of these dark chocolate coated rice cakes with a banana as well. And because of how cold it's been, my bananas have been staying greener for a lot longer as well. But then for dinner on that evening, I made some salmon burgers and I then just put it with some salad and a bit of feta into a couple of wraps as well. I figured I wasn't going to be able to successfully get it all into one wrap, so I did divide it into two. For Wednesday's breakfast, the theme continues of me just not having much enthusiasm, but I did make sure to give myself a little bit more time. I had some extra time due to sort of the way that work meetings were, and I just put some peanut butter and sliced banana onto that toast. Before then, ending up having an avocado and salad wrap for my lunch. It's pretty much all that was in there. I could have added some tuna or something to it, but it completely slipped my mind at the time, and I was feeling quite rushed. So, yeah, it did slip my mind completely, and I just went for the avocado and salad instead. That did mean that by the afternoon, I was feeling a bit peckish, so I had some more of those dark chocolate coated rice cakes for that snack. Before then, just finding the time and energy for to make some dinner. Had an appointment after work, so I just kept it simple again and did a sort of tuna cottage cheese cucumber wrap. That was pretty much all that I had that day. So it wasn't obviously necessarily the most sustaining thing, and especially obviously having more carbs again. But at least I do have wholemeal seeded wraps. That is something as a positive rather than it just being one of the white sugary heavy ones. But then for Thursday's breakfast, luckily my last day of the working week because I'd taken Friday off for some holiday. But I just had a banana. And as you can see, look, they're still super green now, even though it's the Thursday. I purchased them on Saturday. So having a cold chili flat does at least one good thing, and that's keep my bananas fresh for longer. And then for lunch, I just finished off the rest of my cottage cheese and put it with some cucumber into another wrap. Was obviously pretty nervous actually about the wrap going a bit soggy with that cottage cheese in there, but I managed to eat it quick enough before that did become any sort of an issue. Then for dinner, I wasn't particularly happy with this one. I just did some chicken with some Greek yogurt, some mushrooms and carrots, as well as a bit of onion and garlic with some shell pasta. And honestly, I didn't end up eating most of it. I just couldn't find the enthusiasm, even though I'd loaded it with seasonings and everything as well. That did then leave me wanting some of these dark chocolate coated rice cakes again in the evening. And I'll definitely consider getting them again. I probably won't get them too often, but if I find myself wanting something like a biscuit, I might end up, or a digestive more specifically, I might end up getting them instead. But then for Friday's breakfast, it wasn't really breakfast, it was much more nearer to lunchtime. But I'd had a slow start to my day with it being a day off. And I just ended up having some of the yogurt coated rice cakes instead. I think I definitely prefer the chocolate coated ones, and that I'd probably rather just get some plain rice cakes and then sort of crumble them up onto some yogurt or something. But they're not too bad, and I'll definitely eat the rest of the ones that I have. And then, sort of as a mid afternoon sort of snack, I ended up having quite a few of those sunflower seeds, and I did just feel like calling it lunch instead. But then for dinner, I had some sweet potato, mushroom sprouts, all mixed together, then with 3 pork sausages and a little bit of barbecue sauce on top as well. That's what I ended up eating this week. Not super inspiring, but I hope you enjoyed watching all the same. And thank you for taking the time to watch. And if you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.